Alison, it's not only the penetration of digital services, it's the balance of digital as well as offline. So China has become, I think, the most balanced omni-channel market in the world. And that served China well in the short term because of COVID, but I think it's also got them positioned very, very well for the long-term growth of consumer market.
Nina, could you point to an example of how a portfolio company in China pivoted quickly during the pandemic and has since used that knowledge to grow overseas?
Sure. I'll give you an example of Lorelei, which is one of our portfolio company. Lorelei is a very traditional offline business before COVID. More than 70% of its revenue is generated from stores offline. But during COVID, February last year, as you know, all the offline stores were closed. And so Carlyle has worked together with Lorelei and accelerated the launch of WeChat mini program. And this mini program basically enables all the offline stores and its sales force to use the WeChat channel and directly sells to its customers. And because of this help of this little tool online, Lorelei was able to recover 70% of its original offline sales in February of 2020, which is significantly helped the company. And ever since, we've been also working with Lorelei on more live streaming on Tmall, as well as on Douyin and other social media platforms, because COVID has made people much more willing to buy from live streaming e-commerce and other platforms. And that has helped Lorelei become the largest player actually in its industry in live streaming e-commerce.
Patrick, delving into one of your case studies, McDonald's, I think, is one of your flagship deals in China. Could you talk to us a little bit about the evolution of the company under your ownership?
Well, we entered in 2017, and McDonald's already had quite an established base at around 2,000 restaurants. We expect to end this year with 4,500 restaurants and with a very, very long pipeline for additional new restaurant openings over the next 5 years beyond that. I think the other aspects were, the digitization of China was still in its early days when we entered. Cashless payments were 20% going to 40%. Now they're over 90% of all transactions are cashless. Delivery was really just starting, and now, of course, COVID accelerated that as well. But now delivery is about 30% of all transactions. So giving the consumer what they want, where they want it, when they want it, and consumers in China are spoiled for choice.
Nina, IPO markets are going gangbusters globally. Has your pace of exits picked up?
Yeah, 2020 has actually been a very active year for Carlyle, both in terms of investment and exit. We completed 4 exits through block trades and trade sale in 2020. 2 of our portfolio companies, Yatsen and Energy Monster, got listed in the last 6 months. Yatsen listed last November, and Energy Monster listed actually earlier this month. And for 2021, we see another great year for exit. I mean, the valuation is high, the market is open for IPO, and even the strategic investors are quite active. So I see this is not just for Carlyle, I think for the whole PE industry, 2021 is shaped up to be a great year for exit. And we are for sure to see more IPOs coming in China and Hong Kong.
Turning to the antitrust crackdown in China, how do you see that impacting growth?
Well, I think China's continues to mature, and what's going on right now is something we've seen in many parts of the world as institutions are developed, legal frameworks are developed, transparency is developed, and China's on a bit of a natural path there. And you can think about it where actually the consumer economy and the economy of China developed very, very rapidly, and in some cases these institutions are just catching up what is necessary to serve consumers and businesses well in the future.
So do you think it will be a healthier market going forward?
I think it's part of the natural evolution of the market, and I think we believe in the long-term growth of the market, and I think it will help to provide a stable environment that is still growing and focused on serving people well.
Nina, how is Carlyle getting involved in this opportunity in the China consumer sector? Could you put some numbers around China's involvement?
Sure. Consumer is a key sector for Carlyle globally. And in China, the fast changing behavior of consumer, coupled with the rise of e-commerce, as well as the other changes brought about by the technology change, it's actually fundamentally transformed all the Chinese entrepreneurs and companies and creating great opportunity for private equity guys like Carlyle to invest in. And Carlyle is a well-established investor in that sector. We have deployed more than $2 billion in Chinese retail consumer sector. There are multiple things that we invest in and get involved, as you said. And for example, we would help use our expertise in the sector and also our local and global network, help emerging Chinese brands to institutionalize and expand their business. And examples of that, such as Yatsen, Energy Monster, Spark Education, etc. And another thing that we invest in is to help and partner with global brands and support them to expand in Asia. And examples of that includes Golden Goose, Montclair, and our latest edition, E&D.
Turning to US-China tensions, how has that impacted your ability to do business in China?
Well, we believe, first of all, we're mainly a China domestic investor and focused on consumer, focused on businesses that are there to serve Chinese consumers and Chinese businesses. But ultimately, a healthy and strong China and a healthy and strong US, I think, will serve the world's needs and serve the investment environment well.
Nina, a final question. Which trends in China's consumer market do you see as having the most growth potential over the next 5 years?
Sure. I think there are 3 trends I want to highlight. The first is the emergence of Chinese domestic brands. I think China right now is at a stage where world-class domestic brands is bound to happen. And the reason behind it is, one, on the demand side, the sense of nationalism and a preference for local designers at an all-time high. And also the fast changing Chinese consumer behavior requires brands to react really quickly. And the local brands is just more nimble in that front. And on the supply side, because of the COVID, actually OEM in China has accelerated and become very sophisticated. And the Chinese entrepreneurs are able to find very high quality products at reasonable cost. And hence, with this combination, you will see more and more Chinese local brands taking shares and becoming national champions. And the example of that includes Yatsen, which is the holding company of Perfect Diary, which is the leading national color cosmetic company that basically grew and become the top player in 4 years in China. And other examples include Spark Education and Energy Monsters that we invested in. Both are great domestic brands. And the second thing is the emergence of new platforms and new retail format, such as live streaming and the utilization of short video. For example, on live streaming e-commerce, it did not exist before 2017, but in 2020, it has a GMV of more than 1 trillion RMB, and it's almost 10% of the overall online GMV. This is a staggering number, and it's going to grow even faster this year. So whoever can capitalize on that new format can grow much faster and will be a great investment for us. And on the short video, as you know, we invested in ByteDance, which is a great short video platform in China. And they are developing their own e-commerce platform and is expect to grow very fast, outgrow the overall e-commerce sector. And who can utilize that better can grow faster in the overall market.